Hello, welcome. I'm Tom Kenny. I'm the editor of Mix Magazine here on the AES show floor. And today I'm with Wolfgang Freycinet, the president of Neumann. And it's a very big year for you this year, Wolfgang. 90 years, a 90-year anniversary. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yesterday morning, I was here back in the back of the hall when you were presented with an AES Service to Industry Award, presented by Al Schmidt and Graham Kirk.
Right.
And there in the audience was Leslie Ann Jones, a dear friend, and once shared the cover of Mix Magazine with you. Can you tell me what that award means to you, a service to industry?
The award means a lot to us, not only to me as the president of the company, but to the whole team of the Neumann headquarters in Berlin. First of all, it refers to 90 years of history. I mean, 9 decades of audio engineering work is a long, long time. And we have influenced a lot of processes in the recording industry, in the music industry. At the same time, it's an obligation to think about the future, because one thing is to talk about the past and the wonderful microphones Neumann has made in all these years, including mixing consoles and disc cutting lay systems and stuff like that. But now we are thinking ahead, what we are doing the years to come.
And one of those ways to think ahead is to not just the manufacturing industry, but the creative talents. So somebody like an Al Schmidt, a Leslie Ann Jones, what do they mean to you as a company in terms of developing your products?
You know, a few years ago, I thought to myself, it's one thing to go to a studio and see people producing music, making music there, and providing the technical gear. And then I thought to myself, okay, I have a musical background myself. Since my early childhood, I'm a piano player, and I like to read scores when I listen to symphony orchestras and so on. So I talked to Leslie mainly about doing a recording together. And the recording we did in Denver some time ago was Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, and that was the article on Mix Magazine's front page, where Leslie and Andrew Litton, the musical director, and me have been on that front page. With Al, same thing. We are discussing about how he's doing his work, what his needs are when he's doing the artistic part of the job, not only the technical part of it. So what Neumann brings to the table as a technical company is one thing. What Neumann understands from the artistic work of our customers is a totally different other thing. And I like to understand both, because I think we can learn from each other and create new ideas by talking to each other about the future needs and products from Neumann.
It brings your research into real world situations. Right. Now, you also are celebrating this 90 years with the introduction of a product at the show, combining, I think it was 1991, 1 year after you joined the company.
Yeah.
Sennheiser combined with Neumann, correct? What do we have on the show floor? It's a combination of the two, correct?
Yes.
So what do we have?
Well, the combination of the two is that we have a Neumann capsule head, KK204, KK205, which we combine first time with a Sennheiser Evolution Line EW500 system. And that is something which combines the synergy of the two companies. Sennheiser is known for its premium transmitter technology and receiver technology, which Neumann does not do because we have wire-bound microphones. We are known for our best quality condenser microphones and the design of our microphone capsules. So putting these two elements together opens the door to a wider group of customers who could not afford to buy a U87 or something like this. But this capsule head combined with the Sennheiser transmitter is something which is an affordable piece of gear for a lot of musicians.
It's interesting because in a way that's innovation within your own framework. I was talking with John Mayer, as we discussed earlier. They just turned 40. They're babes in the woods compared to you. But he talked about the need to continually innovate. Right about 40 years, he studied this. Companies have to take their core technologies and continue to innovate them, whether in the different markets. You're celebrating 90 years.
Right.
So how do you continue to innovate?
Well, we have been through this process of finding disruptive, innovational products and services for Neumann in these 90 years a few times. I mean, we have been making disc cutting lathe systems.
Since the beginning.
Vinyl discs are over, so we had to do something else. We had mixing consoles in the history of the company for more than 30 years, which we mainly sold and distributed and installed within the European area, not so much here in America. Now it's time to move on. We have a lot of people who are recording at home, people who have not studied audio engineering but still making some good recordings, but they do it in a different way. Their working methods are different from what we are used to from a professional recording studio, and they also need tools to learn how to create good audio. And it's a totally different task for a company to think about that market
Sure.
from a new angle, and that's what we are currently doing.
Well, one of the other products, certainly the pro audio world took notice of, was your speakers about 10 years ago.
Right.
Now, on one hand, it makes sense, transducers, but it's a whole nother market, correct? What was the introduction of the speaker mean?
It's a whole other market, but it's a market where Neumann was always present. When I go into a studio, in the old days, before we had our studio monitors in the range, I saw all our microphones installed there, and I saw a lot of speakers, well, on the meter bridge or wherever they are installed in the studio. And of course, I always paid attention to the brands which are used by certain studios, what type of speakers have been used, and how people select the right transducers for the output side, not only for the input side. And since we know how to make good transducers on the input side, we thought let's give it a try on the output side.
Yeah.
And 10 years ago, Sennheiser bought a company called Klein and Hummel.
Mm-hmm.
That's a German, what used to be a German manufacturer for studio monitors. And after 2 years, there was an open space to lead this product portfolio into a new era because it wasn't really moving forward. And so, I volunteered and said, okay, we can do this under Neumann, provided we are allowed to make some changes.
Yeah.
Look to the product portfolio and clean it up a little bit. Look to the remaining speakers, how we can turn them into the world of Neumann sound, as well as into the world of Neumann quality control during the production process. And so we had to change a lot of things. But ever since then, we are selling almost 10 times the number of speakers we have been selling 8 years ago. And we are doing this very successfully. We are widening up the product portfolio, the range, and you will see more to come. Like here at this trade show, we have an app which is capable of calibrating speakers according to the needs of your room and studio. It works for the stereo systems and 5.1 systems and any other combinations. And it is a system which allows people who are not so well trained how to do this to set up their speakers in the best way possible and get the maximum sound quality out of it.
And hear the difference right away.
Yeah.
Now that's interesting, because if there's two product categories in audio that involve trust, it's the microphone and the speaker, an engineer, producer. And you have to trust a brand. 90 years builds up a lot of trust. And yet, you can't sit still.
No.
So, Ambio, can you talk to me a little bit about Ambio, the division, because that's the future.
Yes. Ambio is a combination of two words. Ambio means ambience and stereo. Ambio. That is a word which has been created by Sennheiser, our mother company, and it stands for a certain world of sound. It doesn't stand for one particular product. This is the Ambio speaker, that's the Ambio microphone. That's not the idea. The idea is to describe how we can create spatial sound in all different methods we can imagine, existing ones and future ones, with the help of products, services, and software tools and hardware tools made by the Sennheiser Group. In this case, I say explicitly the Sennheiser Group because the speakers for these Ambio setups are mainly coming from Neumann, our studio monitors, But the software algorithms behind it and so on are created by Sennheiser. So there's another example for good synergy between Sennheiser and Neumann.
Well, we talked about that, the importance of the Neumann brand and creating and maintaining that while maintaining synergies with a company that works well. What's coming up? I mean, you've partnered with console makers now. You've partnered across Pro Audio with Digico particularly. Where are we going?
Well, you may remember that we have been starting to offer and develop digital microphones, which were mainly made for the standard AES 42. But AES 42 never made it really into the world of recording studios, so at least not to a wider extent. So we put this on hold for a while, but of course the world becomes more digital every day, and we are revitalizing some of these ideas which we had already developed in these old years, and we are combining them with new ideas how we could come to state-of-the-art digital solutions in the next time to come. And it's one thing to think about 90 years of history and what we have done in these 90 years. It's another thing thinking about the next 2, 3, 5, and maximum 10 years, because the speed of product development is increasing. The speed or the life cycle of products is not 20, 30 years and more like it used to be in the old days, although a U87 today you can still use it 20 years from now. But a lot of other products are software driven, and that's already a showstopper, because a software will be redesigned and redeveloped every 1 or 2 years, and then it requires a certain hardware to have enough storage space and stuff like that. And these are the things we are working on now, to find software and hardware solutions for the needs of the market of today and the next 5 years. So you can expect some interesting product introductions in 2019 and 2020, which will be very different from what people expect from Neumann.
Well, I've seen you, as I was mentioning earlier, the last 5 to 10 years, I've seen you out there in the world getting feedback, and I do applaud you for not sitting in your office and determining what the industry needs. You go and work.
Thank you for recognizing it.
I do. I see you around. I see you at the shows. I see you at facilities. I see you at Skywalker. I see you at Full Sail. I see you at Sweetwater. I see you out hitting all the corners of the market.
Right.
That's what it takes for the next 5 years. That's what it takes.
And it's a kind of self-educational process, what I'm doing there. It's one thing to be proud of what we have achieved in all these years. It's another thing to keep up with the current development in the recording industry. And we have done interviews with a lot of people from mainly the home recording, semi-professional recording studios. And we were asking them, what are your needs? How do you create your work? What is it? What drives you? What keeps you awake at night? What is it? What we can bring to the table to make your life easier and our common life better? And we got some very, very interesting and nice answers, which we would never have gotten if we had made these interviews with our own people. So we were using anonymous people who were asking these questions in an anonymous way, and the answers are very truthful and help us for our future developments.
Well, thank you very much, Wolfgang. I applaud you for 90 years. That's a rare accomplishment in the technology world, and I wish you the best for the next 90.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Much.
Thanks to all of you.